Hi guys, welcome back to Mentor and yet another video podcast. I hope you're all doing great. I am back from my vacation. I've been up in northern Sweden for a couple of weeks fishing and stuff, or actually a couple of days. But now I'm back and I am intending to do a live feed very soon to celebrate the fact that I have more than 2,000 subscribers of you guys, so thank you very much. Keep spreading the word, keep spreading the channel, and I will do my best now in the next couple of podcasts or so to increase the quality both of the video, and I'm thinking about getting myself a second camera and also do a little bit of improvements on the channel as a whole. So expect improvements within the next couple of months or so as I'm getting more and more equipment. But keep asking me questions, keep spreading the word about the channel, because I need you guys in order to keep increasing the size of the channel. So help me out and I will keep doing these podcasts for you for as long as you want me to. So I will do the live video podcast tonight. It's the 20th today and I'm going to do it at 20 Zulu. So that's going to be 10 local time in Central Europe. So 8 Zulu. 10 local time in Central Europe, and I'm thinking about having as a main subject in the podcast CRM. So if you have any CRM related questions, then please fire them tonight. I'm going to be receiving questions on if I can get the chat function to work on my YouTube channel, but that probably won't work for whatever reason. I don't know, it might have to do with my computer. So in that case, there will be a photo on Instagram that you can go in and put your comments, your questions in, and I'll be reading from Instagram. I'll also be reading from Twitter and Facebook if I can manage to do all three of the platforms at the same time. But Instagram has been working really well so far, so use that one and use Twitter as well, because it will give me notifications, which is what I'll need about your questions. You can also ask whatever questions that you would like. I will answer them as well, but the main topic will be CRM. Okay, so remember that 8 o'clock Zulu, 10 Central European time tonight, 20th. Okay, now I have received a question actually, which I thought was a bit funny, so I'm going to be covering that now, and that's what I have in the flight bag and what kind of flight bag you need. Which is something that I haven't even thought about. So I'm going to go through what I have in my flight bag, but remember, this is very individual. There are a couple of things that you will have to keep in your flight bag when you're working, but most of it is very and highly individual. Okay, so first of all, what kind of bag are you looking at? Well, we have the classic pilot bags, you know, the black ones that you hold in your hand as you're walking towards the aircraft. You can still have that one. Make sure that you don't buy one that is too big, especially if you're flying the 737. If it's too big, it's not going to fit next to you on the right side if you're the first officer, or the left if you're a captain. So make sure that it's a standardized size. Otherwise, there are like pilot bags that you can buy out in the mainstream stores as well. I have a well, it's a United Colors of Benetton bag. It's basically yeah, it's a very standard kind of bag, like this. The good thing with it, the way I think it's a good thing, is that it do have one of these handles. The reason that's good is because, especially, well, no matter where you're working, especially if you're working in big airports, there will be quite a lot of walking involved in your job to and from the aircraft and so on. And these things, they can become quite heavy after a while. So it's good to be able to pull them as you're walking. All right, so buy one of those. It's just a recommendation. Okay. Otherwise, it's good if it has a lot of compartments in it, at least one big compartment. If, like in my airline, you're bringing your own food with you, then it's a good thing to have a lot of space to keep food and to keep some kind of, maybe some refrigeration even in it. So one big compartment, and then a smaller compartment that you can have, for example, your computer with you and so on. So what do I have in my flight bag then? Well, of course, you need to have your licenses. Okay, so your licenses, passport, and medical. You need to be able to produce them in case you have a SAFA inspection. That's basically an inspection of any foreign aviation authority. You can get on board and ask to make sure that all the licenses for the aircraft and for the pilots and for the cabin crew is correct. So you need to be able to produce this also for your line checks and so on. The line training captain is going to want to see that you have all the documentation ready and that everything is within date. So it's going to be up to you as a pilot to make sure that everything is in date. So make sure that it is. Okay, keep it up to date. So that's it. Licenses, medical, and passport. If you're working for a long haul company, you might need visas as well if it's applicable. You might need proof of vaccinations that you've done. So if you have a vaccination certificate, that's probably a good idea to keep with you as well. Different airlines have different paperwork that you might want to carry with you as well. If you have certificates, for example, for weight changes of the aircraft, or some airlines will ask you for your previous line check documentation as well, so that the line training captain can have a look at how you did on your previous line check. I tend to keep all of that in the same documentation so that it's easy to find and it fits snugly into your flight bag. What else then? Well, I have, as part of the company required equipment, my iPad. So it's a company iPad. It doesn't have anything private, no apps that are not approved on it. But I keep that one, and of course if you do have an iPad, you want to have an iPad charger, so make sure that you have that with you. A torch. It's a good thing to have. If you're doing walk-arounds in the hours of darkness, you're going to need a torch in order to do that, and you can't use the emergency torches that are on board because they are part of the emergency equipment, so keep a torch with you. If you have, like me, glasses generally, then you need to have a spare set of glasses as well in the flight bag. And then there's all kinds of documentation that you might feel is interesting, but honestly, if you have a electronic flight bag like we have in the iPad, you're not going to need much papers because it's all going to be inside of the iPad. What else then? Well, there are slight differences between the first officer and the captain. Now, all of you should have one of these. It's a pin to board. It's where you attach documentation, so like your flight plans and so on goes onto this, because you are going to need to write on that continuously throughout the flight. So one of these is good. You can find that in any kind of paper shop or whatever, Marks and Spencer's, so if you're in the UK or anywhere where they sell office equipment, you'll be able to find one of these. Make sure that you buy one that is plastic though, or leather, because you don't want the ones that are in metal, because what you'll do is you'll put it on the dashboard in the aircraft and it can actually scratch the windshield if you're using the metal ones. So the metal ones that you have in your flight school, discard them if you're going to start working for an airline, because they don't want to change the windshields because you've scratched them. Okay. Other things that are good to have, I try to keep a little bit of medication inside as well, like the off-the-shelf medication, like some paracetamols in case you have a headache. Also some nose sprays. You never know when you get that cold, and if the cold sits on the sinuses as you're up flying there, you want to be able to have some nose spray with you to let that go. So paracetamol, nose spray, any flight-approved medicine that you might need. Maybe some mints for your breath, whatever you feel like, something like that is good to have as well. I also tell people to keep something with a high sugar content in it, like fruit sugar or whatever. If you haven't had time to eat on a really short sector and you're feeling a little bit down, then you can get a couple of those just to get the sugar up for a short period, and it might work for you if you feel that your sugar is going down. But of course, the best thing to do is make sure that you're eating properly throughout the day and drinking. So that's the next thing. Water. Most airlines, they will provide you with water bottles. If they don't, then you will have some kind of water outlet in your crew rooms, and keep water bottles with you so that you can keep drinking all the time. Also very, very important. So what else? As first officers, I would advise you to keep a little kit of clamps, for example, so that you can make piles of documents into more manageable piles of documents. So keep stapler, clamps if needed, pens, obviously, a few of them, because you will forget a few of them in the aircraft, and you will do that continuously. So buy a pack of not very expensive but very good pens. Keep them black, because it will be, if the paper needs to be scanned, which most paperwork does, then black is better than blue. So black pens, and make sure that they're not too expensive. It might be nice to have one of those Mont Blanc pens with you, but if you lose it in the aircraft, it's going to be painful, so don't do that. Also, Tipp-Ex is a good thing. If you made an error when you're writing on your paperwork, whatever, you can sort it out fairly easily. What else do I have? That's it. Spare pens, spare batteries. If you're using a headset that requires batteries, make sure you have spare batteries with you. And yeah, that's about it, I would say. Then on top of that, it is up to you really what you want to bring with you. So make sure that you have your license, your passport, your medical, your electronic flat bag if that's the case, your charger for that one, any visas, any other required paperwork. You will know, you will have that in your operations manual exactly what you need to carry with you. And on top of that, it's really up to you. So those things that I've mentioned now, there are just a few things that are good to have with you. You will know as you get along with your line training and stuff, you will notice what you will need to carry with you. But this is kind of a basic setup, okay? So make sure that you watch the podcast tonight. I will put this out on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Instagram as well. So